All right, we are now back for the third session for you to realize your potential. And you were attracted to be here for a reason. And as we discussed on the very first day of this event, Realizing Your Potential, I had asked how many of you are really looking to experience a change or a shift in your life in some way. And pretty much everyone that was on the call, yeah, there we go, said that they are. So what's important for everyone to understand is that this is a process, the process of getting to where you want to go. And it can be a challenging road sometimes. The road is sometimes longer than you anticipate, and rarely and on occasion, it can be shorter than what you anticipate. But nonetheless, we've already talked about what we've covered off in session number 1 is getting clarity around what you would love. And as much as that may sound like such a simple idea, one of the things that I've observed from doing this work in this field of personal transformation for, well over 26 years now, studying it for over 40, but have been in business for over 26 years, is that many people don't even have the right goal. They don't have the right goal set, or they don't have a goal that they're in love with, or they don't have a goal that really excites them and perhaps scares them a little bit at the same time. And that's why on our very first day of this event, Realizing Your Potential, we discussed and reviewed how to effectively declare your goals in a way that it's very clear to the universe what it is that you desire. If you missed that session, we do have it available. We've recorded all of it. We're going to have it available on the replay page for approximately a week. You'll be able to go back and you'll be able to look at it at your convenience. And I do suggest that you do just that. The second day, we talked about self-image and you building the image of the person who is accomplishing the goals that you've set for yourself. But there's no pass, go, collect $200 in this whole equation. You must do the steps. You must follow through all the steps in order to get to where you want to go. Now, the steps might be different for you than what they are to another. So there's processes that you can get involved in that are going to strengthen you. It's going to build your belief system within you and have you experience what you desire. But I believe it's important that not only are you strengthening yourself emotionally so that you feel stronger, so that you are stronger, so that you are building the muscles that are going to get you to where you want to go, but that you're really ready for any challenging situations that come along in the process, and that you really are committed to what it is that you desire. It's very easy for people to get off track. It's very easy for people to just throw their arms up in the air and say, to heck with it. You know, it's not worth it, not willing to do the work. It's very easy for people to do that. And quite often people do. Hence the reason it is not that crowded along the extra mile. Now, to me, it's not crowded along the extra mile is like great news. Now, why is that great news? It's great news because when you know that it's not crowded along the extra mile, you realize that there's very few people that are really willing to do what it takes to succeed. Many want it. You know, they have the desire. They may even set a goal, but they don't do anything about it. Yesterday, we had talked about the law of Goya. The law of getting into action is really what the law of Goya is. So day 1, we talked about you becoming very clear on what you would love and to set those goals based on what you would love to experience in your life. Day 2, we talked about self-image and you having the self-image that's a match for whatever it is that you desire, and how to grow and build that self-image within you, whether it's through using your Power Life script, which is a phenomenal tool and technique that'll definitely aid you in creating a strong self-image. And in addition, it'll have you feeling and building the emotions that are necessary to get to where you want to go. And so today I want to talk about how do you deal with those paradigms. The paradigms are the belief systems that you have within you. And the paradigms are your beliefs that are dictating and determining what you're thinking, what you're saying, how you're feeling, the actions that you're involved in, the behaviors, your habits. That's where your paradigms are revealed. And when you're working toward a new outcome or a new goal and you're looking to manifest something in your life, then it's essential that you build the paradigms that are going to be a match for that. But what happens is the following. The old paradigms are going to are going to show up, and they will attempt to try and pull you back. And it's not because they're against you. It's not that the universe is against you. It's simply a part of how we are or why we are the way we are. It's how we're built. It's how we're wired. And when you know that and you understand that those paradigms are going to put up what Bob Proctor calls a royal battle, then you're better equipped to deal with it when it happens. And what happens is once you also expand your awareness and continue to expand your awareness and your understanding in the whole field of transformation, you begin to recognize your own paradigms when they show up. As an example, even the other day when we talked about goals, and a couple people had sent questions saying, well, should I go for a midterm or a moderate goal before I go for the big goal? Well, the reason why that question is being asked is simply because of a paradigm. That's what your belief is, that you go to a next term goal and then a next term goal. But the truth is you could, go for anything that you want. It's the same effort required in order to get there. So you've got to be consciously aware every day, because on this day, you're either in a creation mode or you're in a destruction mode. Now, sometimes throughout the day, you're creating and then you're destroying, and then you're creating and then you're destroying, and you're creating and you're destroying. So how are we creating and how are we destroying? And I'm going to share with you in a moment how to be on the side of the creation and away from that side of destroying. So how you're creating is when you're thinking about what it is that you desire, and it may be your goal, and you're looking at your goal statement, then you're creating, especially when you're feeling favorable. What do I mean by favorable? When you're feeling good about it, excited about it. And remember, you don't have to know how you're going to accomplish that goal. So you're in a creative state. When you're doing gratitude, if you're involved in a regular practice of writing in a gratitude journal, then you're in a creative state. If you are someone who takes a pen and you write out your goal statement multiple times a day, then you're in a creative state. If you're someone who's doing affirmations and you're saying your affirmations with conviction, like genuinely feeling it in your heart, you're in a creative state. If and when you're listening to your Power Life script and you're really feeling emotionally connected to your Power Life script, you're in a creative state. When you're doing mirror work, you're in a creative state. Visualization, meditation, as you understand anything positive, you're in a creative state. You're here right now. Very likely you're in a creative state unless you're rejecting what you're hearing. Now, sometimes that happens for people. They reject what they're hearing because of paradigms, or they're hearing the message and they're hearing the speaker, and then they're thinking in their mind, well, that's okay for her, or it's okay for him, but it won't work for me. That's not a creative state. That's a destructive state. So you could even be in a creative environment and be in a destructive state. Now, I've been there. Like, I remember years ago, and maybe some of you have had an experience like this as well, but I remember years ago being in a seminar. Now, we're going back, many, many years, and sitting in the seminar and hearing the speaker, and all I was thinking is, I want to cry, because that was everything opposite to my life and the way that I was living my life at that time. So I was in a creative environment, but in a negative state. That happens sometimes when people are reading the books. They're reading from a fabulous book, which is designed to help them grow, and yet they're thinking about how bad their life is, or what's wrong with them, or how things aren't working for them. And then they're in a destructive state. Now, there's a very, very easy way to determine if you're in a creative state or if you're in a destructive state. And the way that you determine what state you're in is by how you feel. When you're feeling good, you're attracting good. When you're feeling bad, you're attracting bad. So we get into destructive states when you enter into an emotion such as worry. You're thinking about the bills that are coming. You're thinking about what needs to be paid, or you're thinking about what you don't have, and you're thinking about the challenge that you have. Destructive state. Anytime you're in a state of fear, but you're all consumed in it and you have become debilitated. In other words, you're not taking any action. You're just sitting there staring, maybe staring at the wall or staring at your screen, and you're doing nothing. But you're in fear. That's a destructive state. Or when you're speaking negatively and giving energy to something that you don't desire, you're talking about how the bills are piling up or talking about how you don't have the funds for that destructive state. So what I would like to invite you all to do is to become even more aware of what state you're in at any given moment. Because I know all of you have a desire to create better results in your life, or you wouldn't be here listening to me right now. You wouldn't. I had a desire many years ago, and I made a decision that I was going to dedicate my life to this study. I made that decision first to clean up my own life, and then secondly, once I got things going for myself and really started to get amazing results, to help other people as well. And that's why I got into the business that I'm in. And so it took time. It took time. It definitely took a lot of effort. It's continual study. And I think it's important that you understand that you should be in the study of personal development on a regular basis. Otherwise, things get worse. If you're just relying on your own consciousness, which has brought you to where you are right now, it can be a challenge. So where do we go? Well, we go to other people that have experienced transformation, positive results. They can share in their own experience. They can share in their own strategies, and they can help. They can give guidance rather than going to someone who has never been there, never done it, doesn't know anything about it. That's really not where you want to go. So when we're in this experience of choosing to transform our own life, understand that it's effort. It's fun though. It's a lot of work. It's like yesterday when we were doing our call together, by the time we were done and after I'd had all the appointments of my day, I'm on a total complete high. Why? Because this work and being in this field is a very positive experience. You're surrounded with positivity. And even between calls, if I'm not working with my private mentoring clients or working on development or whatever, I'm studying. So I keep the books all around me so that the consciousness is expanded. And that's really what you want to do. You want to consciously expand. So how do you discipline yourself enough so that you are actually involved in being on the creative side every single day? Well, yesterday we had talked about a tool that I use that we made available to you called a daily discipline checklist. Now, when I first started using a daily discipline checklist, what I did was I just created a Word document on my computer that essentially had the same thing. It had the activities or my disciplines that I was going to be involved with. And then I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday across the top. And I would just check off whenever I would follow through with the disciplines that I was involved with. But what I want to say is whatever you choose here, as far as your disciplines are concerned, is really up to you. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. Now that may sound a little strange, but it's not, it's really not, doesn't matter what you're doing on the discipline side of things. What matters is how you're feeling. Therefore, if you find, or when you find a technique or a couple techniques that really are the techniques that do it for you, meaning cause you to feel that alignment, cause you to feel that frequency beyond the frequency of the goods that you desire, then that's all you need to do. Now, that can be accomplished just by using your mind. You don't even have to be involved in daily discipline tools. The reason why I created daily discipline tools was to discipline myself so that I would do them every single day. And that's what you want to be doing, is doing them every single day. So when I first learned about the whole idea behind a goal card and having a goal card, that was something that I learned from Bob Proctor in January 1979. So it was a long time ago. But what Bob suggested is, and I noticed there were a lot of people that weren't really effectively using their goal card. What Bob suggested is to use the goal card as a resource tool so that when you touch the goal card and you allow this to occur, it'll trigger something in your brain that causes you to connect to what's written on your goal card. And when you connect to that, what's written on your goal card, then you are impressing that idea upon your subconscious mind. Hence the reason why you would do that multiple times a day. Also, on the other side of this card, I have something called a vibrational frequency check sheet. And this was another tool that I had created for myself. And the reason why I created this, and these are tools that I created back in the 1990s. I'd created this tool so that I would ensure that I'm getting on the frequency of my desire and staying on the frequency of my desire. So what is a vibrational frequency checklist? Well, this is a document where you write out your top goal, your stretch goal, the number one goal that you would love to accomplish in your life. And then there's a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is at the bottom, 10 is at the top. And the scale is on, if I asked you this question, I'm going to actually ask you all right now. I want everyone to think about their goal. Now, I'm assuming you all have a goal because we had talked about goals a couple of days ago on the first day of our 4 days. So think about a goal. And if I were to ask you this question, I want you to honestly answer the question. If I was to ask you the question on a scale of 1 to 10, now 10 means you're completely in alignment. 10 means that you're feeling it right now. And 1 is like really not having any feeling whatsoever. 2, a little bit more. 3, 5 is like halfway. 7, you're getting there, but not quite there. Where would you be on that scale of 1 to 10? Type it in the little chat box. Okay, let's see what we have. Woohoo. All right, look at those numbers coming in. Okay, good. You know, I really appreciate the honesty as well. Thank you for the honesty of what you're writing here. So I'm seeing lots of 5s and 7s and 8s, and there's no 9 to 10. They're either 9 or you're 10. Which one are you? Tell me which one you are. Okay, Jacqueline's on a 10 today. Wow, okay. All right, Jay Ashry is on a 10 as well. Victoria is a 10. Okay, I would expect that. Ursula's on a 10. Excellent. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right. So the idea behind me asking you that question is to have the awareness. Okay, that's good. It's good to know if you're feeling a little low today. You see, there's only one person that's in control of where you are on that scale. Who's in control of where you are on that scale? Yeah, thanks, Natalie. You're absolutely right. You're the one that's in control of where you are on the scale. How fast can you go from a 5 to a 10? How fast? Like that, right? Okay, what would cause you to go from a 5 to a 10? I want someone to tell me, what would cause you to go from a 5 to a 10? All right, raise your vibration. Thank you, Callie. Attitude, yes. Awareness, mindset, a decision, faith, thoughts. Yes, 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 yes. Movement, studying, yes. Okay, perfect. Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, let me ask you a question then. Now that you have that goal accomplished in your life, so imagine we're going to work with your goal again. Imagine that goal. Okay, imagine that that goal is in your life right now. How are you feeling? How are you feeling right now? Just type in the chat box. Awesome. Thank you, Audrey. Joyful, says Terry. Yes. Elated. Wonderful. Okay, good. Blissful. Grateful. Fantastic. Amazing. Relieved. Freedom. Relaxed. Full of joy. Ecstatic. Happy. Awesome. Blessed. Okay, good. In good company. You're right. At peace. Okay, so what you just did was you went to a 10. You imagine you're at a 10. And it's not that difficult to do, right? You did it, and you did it like that. This is what you want to be doing. That's why I created this vibrational alignment sheet. Now, I created it for myself, so I would track it. Now, every tool that I teach, whether it's here during this event or whether it's in my Skipping Levels program, because in Skipping Levels, we talk a lot about disciplines. And we've got some of our members of our Skipping Levels program right here. I saw Vladdy is here. I saw Kate was coming in the room. Victoria is here. They're all members, and they'll be able to speak to the fact that absolutely disciplines are essential for you to not only be in harmony with what you desire, but to stay there, get you there and stay there. And that's what you want to do. You want to understand, first of all, where is there? When you're saying get there, stay there, what is there? What does that really mean? What I mean is in your imagination, in imaginative state, you are imagining that you already have what you desire. That's there. That's the place. And just like I shared with you, the circle that we use in our, I have to get this off my seat here, in our skipping levels, the new home, I choose to live from my new home. That's the there, because on the back of mine, I have my goal written out, and I sit on this every single day because I'm imagining that that's my home. This is where I live. This is where I reside. So it's a tool that I use. At first I was putting on the ground and I was standing on it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. What matters most is how you're feeling. Okay, so when you start using these tools, that's what I find about plugging in earbuds and listening to myself talk to myself every day. What that's essentially doing is it's building the emotional muscles. I remember years ago seeing an ad for an exercise. It was a piece of exercise equipment. And this exercise equipment was something that you sit in, you sat on the floor, it was low to the ground, you sit in, you put your legs up, you put your arms in, you get strapped in to this machine, and then you push a button and it actually goes. It moves your arms and it moves your legs and moves your body. You sit there while this exercise machine moves your physical body. Now, what is that doing? It's exercising your body, right? It's exercising your muscles. Well, to me, that's what the Power Life script does to your mind. It's like I plug in, when we finished yesterday, I plugged in my earbuds, and it was actually, I think around 8:30 last evening, I noticed they were still in and they're still playing. I had them going for hours after we were done. And you can be doing that. You see, it's almost like that automatic exercise machine. You're exercising your body by a machine because it's an automated process. That's what you're doing with your consciousness when you use a Power Life script. It's like you're exercising whether you even have to think about it because it's going in. See, you're taking in information all the time through your senses. You could have a TV on in the other room, and it could be, playing news constantly. There's a channel that does that 24/7. It could be going on with news all day long. And this is why, children take in so much information, because their parents are having conversations or they're playing songs, and even the words of a song, you're taking it in. People don't realize how much their consciousness is impacted by what they're taking in from their senses. And when you realized the impact of it, you would want to be cautious about what you're allowing to come into your conscious mind or not allowing to come into your conscious mind, right? Of course. And that's why you want to be playing all these great materials, whether it's you talking to yourself or whether it's watching someone else or listening to an audio program or watching inspiring movies or documentaries or whatever it is. Just take in only information that serves you. And so what you really want to be doing, no news, says Jacqueline. Yeah. So what you really want to be doing is you want to ensure that your day is organized in a way that it's productive, that it's positive, that it's putting you on the frequency, and that the things that you're doing is definitely taking you in the direction of your goals. And you want to also ensure that anytime you feel or think a negative thought, that you reverse it, that you switch it. So we had talked, I know in one of our calls, we had talked about a switching technique, and I want to talk about a number of switching techniques as well. So what we're going to do, and we have some questions that we're going to be addressing as well today. And we're going for 1 hour today. So from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock we're going to be on for 1 hour today. I have a 4 o'clock appointment today. And then tomorrow we're going to be on for a little bit longer because I will be taking more questions tomorrow. So just want to let you know about that. So switching techniques, let's talk about switching techniques. And the first one I want to talk about, and what do I mean by switching techniques, first of all? So a switching technique is where you want to take yourself out of negative energy or negative feelings and put yourself into positive, right? Because as I just mentioned, when you're in negativity, you're destructive. When you're in positivity, you're creative. So how do you take yourself out of the negative over to the positive? Well, it's a very simple process. One is you have awareness. So you simply become aware. So you notice it. Number one, you notice it. You notice it's there. And there's a couple different ways you can handle this. And the first way I'm going to share with you is a relatively new technique that I've become aware of. And I like it. I like it because I think it's effective. And that technique is called welcoming. And it's a technique that I learned from Rhonda Byrne, actually, who is the author of The Secret and the Greatest Secret. And I think she has another book out as well. And this welcoming technique, what that is one, you notice the negative energy is there. Let's say the negative energy is fear. And fear is typically based on something that we make up in our own mind, right? And what I love about recognizing these negative feelings or emotions that show up is that it's demonstrating that you are believing in something that isn't true. You've created that belief. You're fearful of something you've simply made up. And so while you're having the experience of noticing that the emotion's there, the negative emotion, let's say it's fear as an example, what you do is you welcome it. You welcome it. And how you welcome it, and this is very important that you understand the steps in this welcoming process. You welcome it by, with your awareness, you notice that it's there. Now, if it's there, it's not because someone put it there. You are acknowledging it. You're giving it energy. All right. You're the one that made it up. You're making up this fear. All right. It's not real. You've made it up. So you notice that it's there and you go, oh, I see what you are. You're an example of something that's simply not true. So what you do is, and this is what I do, is I open my arms and I just imagine that I'm giving it some love, because love will dissolve fear. Love will dissolve anything negative. So just open up your arms and just, okay, I recognize who you are. It's a part of me that's just believing in something that's not true. I'm going to release. I'm going to let you go, and you let it go. And by being in a loving state, by having the awareness of love, it will dissipate. It will go away. Now, you may find that you will need to do this welcoming experience multiple times, because you may be all consumed in fear, right? Natalie, are you understanding? Is this making sense to you, right? But what'll happen is it will dissipate. It'll dissipate. And you can have so much fun with this as well, because you can go, oh, I recognize you. You're that worry. Okay, let me give you some love. And then off you go. Off you go. And I remember when I first heard about this technique, it was actually through Gay Hendricks a number of years ago. We were running a program together, Gay Hendricks, Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, and myself. And the program that we were running together was called Making a Million Look Small. And the four of us were teachers in this program, and we all taught the same equal amount of classes. And I remember one of Gay Hendricks' call, and someone had asked him, like, how do you deal with this negative emotion? Or how do you deal with fear when it shows up? And as soon as a question was asked of Gay, in my mind, I was thinking, if Bob Proctor had been asked that question, I know what Bob would say. He's like, stop it. Right? Stop it. Stop giving that energy. Like, it's destructive. But here's what Gay said. Gay said, wrap your ever loving arms around it and give it some love. And I'm thinking, what? I was actually surprised by the answer. And it didn't really even make sense to me at the moment that I heard him. And he said, just wrap your ever loving arms around it and let it go. But what I liked about Rhonda Byrne sort of extended a little bit further and expanded on it. And she explained, the whole process of how love will conquer anything. Love will heal, right? And so it's like love is such a strong energy, such a strong positive energy that it will dissipate any negative energy. And what I loved about what I learned through Rhonda Byrne is that when we welcome it, we're not ignoring a part of who we are, because if that's there, it's a part of who we are. Yes, we chose it, but it's still a part of who we are. And some people hang on to it. Some people hang on to it for dear life, thinking it's their life preserver. In fact, it's bringing them down. It is not a life preserver. Worry is not a life preserver. Fear is not a life preserver. Guilt is not a life preserver. Anger is not. Resentment's not. None of it is. It will bring you down. So you definitely want to do something to get rid of it. You want it out, like demons be gone, right? Just let it go. But you can have that experience in a very loving way. It doesn't have to be an uncomfortable way. It doesn't have to be anger. We don't have to add more negative energy to it going, I recognize you, fear, out. We just have to be like that at all. We can just say, hey, Okay, I notice you're here. I'm going to wrap my loving arms around you, give you some love. And the challenge is this. You don't want to focus on it. When I'm saying notice it, I'm not saying focus it, laser focus, go into the worry and why am I worrying? I'm not saying that at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it just expands, right? What you focus on just expands. But doing it this way, noticing it, being aware that it's there, giving it some love, allowing it to dissipate. And even if it comes back again, and it comes back again, and it comes back 183 times, you do the same thing until it's gone, until it's gone. Now, other ways of shifting out of the negative energy into a positive energy is by using questions, effective questions. For example, let's say you're in an experience with someone else and you choose to be upset by something they did or something they said. Now that happens, right? It happens in relationships. It happens in business. It happens with clients, happens all the time. What can you do in that case? Number one, you notice your response or reaction to what happened or what occurred. And then you could ask yourself this question, I wonder what else that means. And look at it from a positive perspective. It's like you go to another side of the table and you look at it a little differently. I wonder what this could mean. And you only answer that question with a positive answer. With a positive answer. Another great question to ask yourself, especially when you get all consumed in fear or worry or doubt, which are strong emotions that definitely destroy people's dreams, is you ask yourself this question. What would I love? What would I love? Now, that's a question you can ask yourself many, 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 many times a day. And it's a question that I've asked myself many, 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 many times a day, anytime I've been up against the terror barrier or up against fear or worry or doubt. I just ask myself, first of all, I notice it's there, ask myself the question. That's my process to switch. And then I connect. I connect to the positive emotion. So what would I love? Well, I'd love to have this happen. What does that feel like? Feels great. Boom, over to that. So you could end up, especially in the beginning, until you get yourself conditioned a certain way, to be switching and switching and switching and switching and switching and switching and switching. Other things that I do to switch out of the negative over to the positive is I'll pick up a great book. Just grab a book, start to read something that's positive, something that's enlightening, something that feels good. Or you could watch some comedy or look at some jokes. I have a lot of joke books as well. That'll put you into a positive spirit, positive state of mind. Another is to plug in your Power Life script, start listening to it. That always works for me. Another one might be to get up and go for a walk, move your physical body. Quite often when people get into negative energy or negative states, they become immobilized. They're not moving, they're not doing anything. But if you get up and you go for a walk, go for a brisk walk or put on some music and dance around the room, you'll feel better. So those are all switching techniques to take you out of the negative into the positive. What were you showing me there, Jacqueline? I didn't have my glasses on. The happiness advantage. Okay, there he goes. Looks like something good to read. All right, Mark says he watches videos of puppies on YouTube, instantly puts me in a good mood. That's a great one. I like that. Excellent. Celine, movement always helps me feel better. I love it. Alam says, I listen to comedy. Beautiful. I like that. Walking meditation is amazing. Yes, absolutely. See, you're already doing it. You're already involved in switching techniques. I love that. That is fabulous. Watching baby pictures or videos. I love that, Laura Lee. Music and grooving. Yeah, baby. All right. What is EMDR? What is EMDR, Bettina? Dancing. Yes. Look at babies with dogs. That's so cute. I like that. Jamie trumps me. Yeah, it's good. It's not a competition. Yoga. I like that. Okay, good, good. All right. So those are the things that I would suggest. Now, what happens is, listen to your podcast, says Tammy. You know, really why I wanted to focus on this idea for today is because what I'm talking about today, today's subject is all about strengthening you. The more you strengthen yourself emotionally, the better it goes for you. Like I've had experiences in my life where I've noticed that because of the work that I've done over the years where I felt really strong. And a couple examples of that was back in 2008. Apparently there was a recession that went on back then. I didn't participate in it because I chose not to. And but I remember, seeing so many people that became all consumed in fear and I know it was affecting people in different ways. I know it was, but I know my business grew in that period of time. When the pandemic started, I remember standing in my kitchen and my husband was telling me that he saw on CNN that they announced there's a worldwide pandemic. And of course, we didn't even know what that meant. The last pandemic was in 1917. And that was a long time ago, and like over 100 years ago. And I remember having this thought in my mind. It doesn't, I mean, I'm not scared. I have compassion. I'm interested in knowing more about it, but I didn't feel fearful. I didn't allow an outside experience to affect me emotionally. And that's what happens when you strengthen yourself emotionally, is that the more you work on being strong inside with your faith, with your love, with your worthiness, with your confidence, the better everything goes for you. Everything goes for you. So that's why it's so important to really work on that every single day. Now, we've had a couple of questions that were submitted in advance, actually, and some that have been coming up today. So we're going to go over to those questions right now because I want to make sure that we address those before we go on. So the first question that I have here is a rather long one. It's by Kauchika. Is she on the call right now? Is she on the line with us right now? Just want to check. Just going to go down the board here. H-I-J, almost at the K's. And no, she's not here. Okay. Then you know what? I think we're going to pass her question. I think you need to be here to get your questions answered. What do you guys think? Because that's a really long one. And we'll see if Kauchika joins us tomorrow, and I'll address her question then if she likes. Okay, Gabrielle. Okay, so Gabrielle wrote, this is my problem. First of all, if you think it's your problem, it's what? Your problem. I wouldn't even say that. I certainly wouldn't start a sentence like that. Although I see it as an opportunity for you. So here's what she wrote. This is my problem. I'm a creative state, but I have no ideas how I can bring this idea into reality. Okay, I would say that very differently. This is my opportunity. I am a creative state, and I'm grateful for the ideas that come into my reality. The fact that you're using words that say that you have no idea and it's not coming in your reality is something that you're creating. So you're creating that. Now, I know it's not what you want. I know it's not what you would love. So start to think a little differently and certainly give more energy. So now that your creative juices are flowing perfectly and all the answers are being revealed to you with great ease, how does that feel? And even if you say, a lot of people will argue for their beliefs. Well, I don't feel like that. Stop saying that. Now, I've been hearing Bob say that for so many years. And at first I thought to myself, wow, that sounds very simple. It is simple, but it works. So you look at things differently, like the energy of words. When we use words, there's energy in them. Now we give them meaning, we interpret their meaning. But when you're saying that you don't know how, and especially if you're saying with emotion, you won't know how. But if you look at things a little differently and think a little differently, like what I see is opportunity. Gabrielle has an opportunity. She's a creative being. But you know what? We're all creative beings. Everybody has imagination. There isn't anybody in this Zoom room that doesn't have imagination. We all have it. Some of us are just using it a lot better than others. Or some of us recognize that we have it. Like I'm an idea machine. I have so many ideas. Many ideas. That's part of the reason why I have hundreds of domain names, because I'm constantly getting new ideas. The Money Marathon idea came to me the other day, and I decided to move forward with it and created a whole program, which is now available. So Lynn will be able to put the link there for you as well, so you can see it, the Money Marathon. So look at it as an opportunity. Start to declare that you have wonderful creativity and ideas are coming to you in abundance. All right, Callie. What do you do to strengthen that score? Okay, thank you, Callie. I love that question. Now, what Callie is referring to is the vibrational alignments technique. And we actually talked about that. You probably asked that question before we even got into the exercise, because I asked you to imagine that your goal is in your life right now. And everybody did it because I said, how are you feeling? And then we saw those wonderful responses there, feeling elated, I'm feeling joyful, I'm feeling relaxed, I'm feeling happy, and all of those other wonderful declarations. So what they were is an example that what everyone did was they used this, your imagination, and they put themselves there. They put themselves on that frequency, which is what you can do. You can put yourself on the frequency like that any moment. So how you strengthen that score is by choosing to be on the frequency. And whatever process you decide to use. So whether it's your goal card, whether it's listening to your Power Life script, whether it's asking yourself a question, now that my goal is here, how am I feeling? Those are all things that you can do to put yourself in alignment. So thank you for asking. So far, great questions. Thank you. Okay, Joanna, do you have any suggestions of what to do when your vibration drops because the reality is so different to the goal? All right. So number one, the reality, this is probably, Joanne, I love that you're asking the question, because this is probably the greatest challenge that people have, is that they're not seeing the reality now, right? The process of manifesting involves believing in the invisible. It's part of the process. It's absolutely part of the process. You've got to get really good at believing in the invisible. How do you do that? With your imagination. You must use your imagination. You see, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. It doesn't know the difference. So your job, your responsibility is to feel it wholeheartedly in your being, in your entire being, every single day, because what that does is it impresses it, which is really building the emotional muscles until it is a part of who you are. And when it is a part of who you are, then it's going to show up in your life. When? We don't know. We don't know when. No one knows. It's a gestation period. It's a law. It's the way it works, but it's going to manifest. It absolutely will manifest when you get in alignment with that goal. So your responsibility is to feel as if it's here right now. Forget about the reality. Neville Goddard teaches us to deny the evidence of the senses. What is he saying by deny the evidence of the senses? He is not saying ignore your bills. He's not saying ignore your family, ignore your responsibilities. What he's saying is that you've got to imagine that what you desire is in your life right now. And even though the bank account may not be reflective of that, or your mirror might not reflect that, or your life might not reflect that somehow, in your imagination, it's reflected and it's there, it's in your consciousness. And then after a period of time, it's going to show up in your life. Like when I think back to 1994, when I made a decision to buy a house and I didn't have the money to buy a house. I had no money to buy a house. And I went and purchased this home and I wrote a check with the offer. So I gave the real estate agent an offer to purchase the house and he asked me for a check. And I remember thinking, I don't have any money in my account. And I don't write bad checks. I've never written bad checks. But then as soon as I thought I don't have any money in my account, I thought, well, I can get a cash advance on my Visa. Now, I'm not saying go buy a house with a cash advance on your Visa. So don't misunderstand me here. Okay. Okay. So, but then I thought, well, I can get a cash advance on my Visa. So I had some credit. So I wrote out a check and gave it to him and then raced to the bank to transfer money on my Visa into my account so it would cover the check. But here's what I want to say. I gave myself 6 months to figure out how I was going to pay for it. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. The evidence was not there. The reality was not reflective of me paying for this house. I told no one what I was doing because what would they have said? You're nuts. You're crazy. Have you lost your mind? Like, what are you smoking? But I didn't tell anyone what I was doing because it was none of their business, nor did I want any of their negativity. Although I do know this, I don't have to let it in anyways. People could be negative around me all day long. I just don't let it in. It's not coming in. There's no room at the inn. Negativity doesn't live here anymore. Gone bye-bye. Got booted out, evicted. And I suggest you do the same. Evict your negativity. Not welcome here anymore. No more room. All right. So that's what I did. But was I scared? Oh yeah, very. I was scared. I mean, there were days I was sitting there going, I think you've gone too far this time, Peggy. Like, I think you've really lost it. But as soon as I would go to that place of, I think you've gone too far this time. Oh my goodness, you're going to end up in the street. I realized I was out of alignment. I realized that I was thinking about what I didn't want. I realized I wasn't focused on what I did want. I had to put myself right back on track. So I did. How did I do it? I asked myself the question I just suggested to you to ask. What would I love? Well, what I would love is owning this home. Okay, what does that feel like, Peggy? Feels good. Feels really good. Okay, that's what I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm going to get connected to. That's what I'm going to see. And 4 days before the closing of the house, 4 days before, I earned all the money on a stock transaction, on an IPO, initial public offering of a company I happened to be working for at the time. I would have never imagined that to be the scenario that would have unfolded. It was a complete surprise to me, but I never gave up. Never, ever, ever gave up. You cannot give up on your goals. You cannot give up on yourself. You cannot give up on your dreams because they're possible. They're possible for you. And I know because I've been doing it for many, many years and helping other people do it as well. And that's what I'm here for, is to help you create those dreams. But you got to follow through with what I'm suggesting. All right, thank you. Jamie has a question here. How do you deal with fear of something that is actually happening in reality, not something you are simply anticipating? Look at it differently. Just look at it differently. Just choose to look at it in a positive light. Find the gift, find the blessing, find something that's real. It's not always easy, by the way, but there's a gift, there's a blessing in every adversity. Doesn't matter what it is. There's something there. There's a gift there. Edna, what would you recommend? I want to release weight. Would you recommend working out or cutting out food in order to release the excess weight? I would suggest in your mind, see yourself as the weight that you want to be. Declare yourself at that weight that you want to be. Start to say you can eat anything you want. You never gain any weight. My husband often laughs at me because I just eat what I want when I want. Diet? I don't like the first 3 letters of that word. Diet? Right? So just don't stay there. Be happy with it. See yourself in your mind's eye. One of the domain names that I own, at least I think I still own it, I may have sold this one off, is See Thin, Be Thin. And think about that. See thin, be thin. See yourself as the weight you desire to be. I remember when Bob and Sandy and we were all doing the Matrix event in Toronto. This is a couple of years ago now. And Sandy was on a plan to slim down a little bit. And she was saying to Bob, she said, you know, when I step on the scale and I see a number that's not in harmony with what I desire, what do? And he says, stop going on the scale. And I thought, well, there's a good answer. It's true, right? Stop getting on the scale. But here's what you could do is put the number, like just, you know, print it out or get a marker or whatever, put it on a piece of white paper and tape it on the scale. So every time you get on the scale, you see that number. Do that. Visualize seeing yourself at that number. When you walk by a mirror or a reflection, just look at yourself and go, dang, I'm slim. I look good, right? Just start to see yourself. And all of that just goes on within you. No one even needs to know that that's going on. It's all just going on within you. Okay, I love these questions. Okay, let's see. How often do you suggest we visualize without it becoming like an obsession? Pratisha is asking that question. Well, I suggest you visualize until it's in your life. Like, you know, obsession, I'm obsessed. I am absolutely obsessed with my goals, but in a good way. It's not a bad way. It's a good way. Like I just constantly focus on it all the time. Jacqueline wrote, yes, all the time is right. You're absolutely right. All the time is when you want to be doing it. Now I noticed, Natalie, that you had your hand raised for a little while. Did you have a question for me? I can unmute your line now. I just wanted to get through the questions that were on the right-hand side first. You can unmute your line for me if you like.
Sorry. Hi, Peggy.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of also answered my question with dealing with the house thing, because what I kind of did was we had lockdown here again recently, and they recently let different things open back up. So I said to my husband, I was like, look, last year we couldn't go see my dream house because of COVID and everything, but now they're opening it back up. Let's go see it. What's the harm in at least going and seeing it, right?
Right.
And I kind of went the full route, like how you say, like, feel the feels. So I also said, you know what, the car dealerships are shut, but the car rental stuff is opening this week. So I rented my dream car to drive that car to the dream house when we went to go and see it, right? So we kind of felt, and at first I was like, and I even said in my head, the whole time I'm doing all this, I said, he's going to be receptive to it. He's going to see it as fun. And he really did get into it. So, we drove up the driveway, we drove up to the house, and the realtors are showing us all around the house. And you're feeling the feels, and I'm seeing him like inspect behind doors, and he's asking questions. So he's like literally whispering in my ear, there's potential in this house, like this house is awesome, like where did you find this house? And then the realtor is like, because it's been on the market for so long and the people who own it actually live away, they're like giving all these extra bonuses. So the furniture that's in the house now comes with it. They had all the stuff like for redoing the pool, redoing the backyard, all these things, all of that's now included in the price.
Nice.
So it was really awesome. And so the guy then says, I'm going to message the owners. We're going to let them know what the different offers are. And we're going to find out like all the different things because they want to keep the gardeners and all this stuff. And of course, in the back of my head, I'm like, this is great, but I can't afford this house. I can't afford this house.
Oh, that's not going to serve you.
And I know, and it's not serving me. So I came home and I'm like, okay, I envision the fields. I have the fields. I have the money. Everything is going to come in. And I'm finding that even though I'm thinking that way, like I'm getting the emails from him saying, well, this is what it costs to run the gardeners, and this is what it costs to do this. And we drain the pool, but we're going to fill it back if you buy the house. Like I'm thinking one thing here, but like how we're in the call right now, I've noticed just how many times I've started yawning while we've been doing this. So it's like subconsciously I'm freaking out, even though I'm trying to put my blinkers on and do this. Right. So my hand in the air is that even though you're trying to keep your mind focused on what would you love, but your body is reacting subconsciously.
Yes, absolutely. You got to train it. You got to train it. You're in control of all of it. You're allowing it to be, to take over. So you have to train yourself, and it's going to take a little while because right now it's that side is stronger than the other side.
Yeah, it's
right. But it'll change. It definitely will with persistence. So you've got to be persistent, because Natalie, when I had purchased that home and I didn't have the money to do it, I was more consumed in fear than I was in faith. But I would just revert back to, do I want it? Yes, I want it. Okay, what's it going to feel like living here? The process isn't complicated. It's not. You decide what it is that you would love. You feel as if it's already there in your life, and then you live as if it's in your life. It's going to manifest. But you got to be stronger than these thoughts. So you got to take control. Also, I know like with partners, that was actually the question that was asked earlier, the lady Kauchika, who's not on here right now, but similar things. She has her eye on a dream home, but her husband doesn't. And when you're in a relationship, when you're married, you've got to deal with that energy as well, right?
And that's the funny thing too, because when I showed him the dream house, and that's another thing that I would say to anybody who says they're in a relationship with a person who's not entirely on board. When I first started studying with you, this is now like 3 or so years now, he was not on board with any of it. Right. But last year, he started writing in a gratitude book. He did his own vision board without me probing. I didn't throw it down his throat. He just started on his own. And so I was like, and he said to me, he's like, but what if on my vision board, the vision for my house is not the same as your house? And I said to him, what's stopping us from getting 2 houses? If the house you want is a smaller house in a colder climate, we can visit that one in the winter and have our dream house here in Barbados. And what's wrong with
Right.
having two houses? And instantly his whole brain changed.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, let's give it a go. And I just found that, yeah, so that part was not even like, that's, if anybody's in that kind of relationship, I was like, don't panic on it. Just do what you got to do. Listen to Peggy.
Right. Yeah,
Keep
absolutely
focused.
true. Yeah,
But
because, I've told the story of how, I had my eye on a home. This is going back a number of years as well. And it was a million more than the one that my husband and I were in. And, prior to Danny and I being together, just make a decision, I go and I do it. And
yeah,
then when you're married, it's not that
you have to
he
take
doesn't prevent me or stop me from making any decisions. But as a couple, in a home, I send him a listing for a home and he's like, well, it's a million more than the one we're in. Where's the money going to come from? I said, wherever it is now.
wow. Yeah,
And,
that I
and of
started
course,
saying that because of you, actually.
right. Well, in his left brain, it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense. It just totally doesn't make sense, but I don't allow it to affect me. And in my mind, I'm seeing him as I choose for him to be. It's like when I wanted the waterfront place as well, like you, two places, right? I
Yeah.
just saw him and I sitting on the deck, the sun's setting, and he's thanking me. I saw it in my mind's eye. And when the event actually occurred, when we bought the property, we're sitting on the deck one night watching the sunset, and he turned to me and he says, I just want to thank you. I said, thank me for what? I actually had forgotten about it at that moment. And he said, thank you for buying this place. He
Yeah.
said, it's heaven here. I love it here. And it's like, I started laughing. He said, what are you laughing at? I said, I imagined this. I had imagined this. I imagined it right into, and that's how anything is created, is through imagination. You just imagine it. You imagine. So for you, if you really want to live in that house in your mind every day. Wake up there, go to bed there, do your
I
dishes
actually
there.
started driving there just so I can walk up and down the gaps to start having my morning walks, because that's what I do with
Beautiful.
one of my accountability partners. Right now, we go for a walk because we're able to be 6 feet apart and we can walk and talk about our goals. And I said to her, starting from this week, we're driving to there and we're going to walk up and down the gap in front of my dream house, because that's what we're going to do. If I was living there, I am living there. So we're
Totally.
walking in front of the gap.
I've done that myself. I used to do that. Like when I had bought the first dream home, my son was a toddler. He was like 2.5. And I used to drive to the neighborhood, park my car and take him to the park. Cause I'm just imagining this is where I'm living. This is our park. This is on our street.
And I said to him, I literally said to him, because when I saw this house, I was like, I know it's bigger. I know it's a lot of money. I mean, but think about it. We can make $1 million look small. Like that's the
Yes.
feeling we also have. And so I was like, think about it in the long run, that it's an investment, that you have so much potential.
Right.
So, but I just found that, lately, whenever I was trying to do, like you said, like deflect whenever fear comes, I'm doing that. But then, that was what my main question was, how to stop my other parts of my body from reacting like panic attack. But I was glad to hear you had them too.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone that's gone for any goal, any worthy goal, they all have it. Everyone's going to go through some challenges. But it gets to a point where it's like, when you get to that point, that what they call the point of conviction. What's the point of conviction? The point of conviction is where it's yours. You know it. There's no other choice. You see it. And you see it with people, like they just know it, right? There's like no movement there. They're strong in their belief. That's where you want to get to. Strong in your belief. You want to brainwash yourself knowing it is yours. But at the same time, I think it's important to also realize that you have to be detached as well. Now that may sound strange, like you can have your heart set on a goal, but detached from exactly the goal. So you will accomplish your goal, the goal that you set for yourself. You will accomplish it when you follow what I'm teaching. You absolutely do. Just detach from how it's going to happen, or detach from the exact outcome. If your desire is to have a dream home, and in your mind you see that dream home and there's one that's available, maybe it'll be that one. Maybe it'll be another one. Maybe it'll be something better.
Thank you so much, Peggy.
All right. Thanks, Natalie. And what a perfect way to wrap up our call for today. We are at the just about at the 4 o'clock mark right now. We are back tomorrow. Now listen, make sure you come back tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern time as well. We are going to get into the livingness, the living as if. That is what tomorrow's session is all about. It's a really powerful session. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. I'll also be open and willing to take any questions that you may have. And also check out the our brand new program we're just launching. It's called the Money Marathon. You can go to themoneymarathon.com. You'll be able to see it. And that is a program that I designed because I know there's people that would love to have more abundance in their life. And so anyone who's looking to create some financial freedom, check out the Money Marathon. All right, everyone, I want to thank you very much for being here. By the way, Vladdy is here too. Vladdy is taking calls. She's booking appointments for anyone who's interested in working with us further, either in a capacity of the Skipping Levels program or private mentoring with Vladdy or myself, or one of our other team members on our Destiny Coach team. You can speak to Vladdy. Thank you, Celine, for putting the link in there for Vladdy. Thank you, Celine. Celine is amazing. She's always here with us. She's just running from platform to platform, gathering. There she is. There's her beautiful face and her beautiful smile. I love Celine so much. She is awesome. You're absolutely right. She brings, I have goosebumps just thinking about her. She brings such great energy to the room. And she's always here to support all of us. We're so blessed to have Celine. So thank you so much, Celine. Eric as well is here. Eric, when you see the Money Marathon, when you guys take a look at how extraordinary it looks and how it's all set up and everything, he has been working his little butt off. What amazed me about Eric is when I got the idea to do this and I set the timeline to do it, in my mind, I was thinking, I know this is going to be a lot of work for Eric. I know this is going to be a lot of work for Peggy. I was prepared to do it, but Eric's like, absolutely, no problem. And he's always like that. Just incredible attitude. He's got the most beautiful attitude. So thank you, Eric, for everything that you did to get everything ready for the Money Marathon. We just love you, love your personality, love your heart, love your wonderful attitude, and so blessed to have you here. So for my team, my wonderful team that I'm so blessed to co-serve with, to you, we love you guys, we appreciate you, and we look forward to being back with you tomorrow to serve you even more. So have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, whatever time of day it is for you, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.